Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I graft apple and peach trees. I did order more scion woods of different varieties of apples I'm going to be grafting. I'll be showing you those as well. I did order also a peach rootstock called the Guard rootstock. I do have a peach tree here called the Florida Prince that I'm going to be also grafting on a rootstock that I just ordered as well. So come along with me. I'll show you how I graft peach and apple trees. Alright guys, so this here is called the Guard peach rootstock. It's the only one I found at a good price online. I think it'll do. It'll work pretty well. So I'm going to be grafting this one.
You can already tell it's breaking dormancy and it's budding out. So I need to move quickly and graft it. I'm going to use the Florida Prince for this one.
So to put in perspective, this is the peach tree that I'm growing. I think this branch is pretty dormant. There's another one up here that's pretty dormant that might take. So it's pretty thick. This one is already setting fruit and flowering, so I don't want to take this. This branch might be a problem later down the line. So I'm going to take this branch out. I'll cut it right here. As you can tell, it's still green, healthy. I'm going to use this as the scion wood. So here we have the peach rootstock. Here's ours. I see where it matches more or less. I think right down there looks good. So I'm going to cut it there. It is pretty long, as you can tell. So I'm going to prune it down a bit. That looks fairly good. See where it matches again. It's right about there. That's good. So this I'm going to use and root it, and maybe I'll get another rootstock. Just for a side note, I nicked the bottom of it, so it doesn't mold out completely. You just need to nick it a bit in the bottom, dip it in rooting hormone, and stick it in the soil. I'm just showing you here that I'm not putting anything to waste because this can be another rootstock. And this is going to be the one I'm using. It's green, healthy, make it more straight cut. That pretty woody, pretty good. First things first, cut down the middle. This is very sharp. I already sterilized it. I don't want to slip. Just go the width of the blade, like that. It's pretty good enough. Come out. Then here, I know to eyeball it has to match the width of the blade, so cut right about here. I want to at least try and make it match. It is flush on both sides. Here, I'm going to push in a little bit more. The more contact with the canopy layer, the better. And you guessed it, I'm going to use my saran wrap technique. You can see how flush it is on the other side here. I want to make sure there's no air space, so I'm using quite a bit of force to make it seal. Go up. Use more saran wrap. So I want to go again with the second wrap around. Make sure there's no oxygen or air flow going in at all. I'm going to need a third just to make sure everything's sealed well. so to help maintain humidity and make sure there's no airflow going into here and kind of hold it in place. I'm going to take this wrap it around. So I'm wrapping the whole entire scion. Make sure there's no humidity leaving or water leaving the scion wood at all. Make sure it's tightly sealed so whatever water is in here doesn't evaporate out and it perishes. That has enough time to heal. Because I don't have rope, I'm just taking another saran wrap and tying it around the base like that. Oopsies. Just to hold it in place temporarily until it heals. I think it's going to work pretty well. And that's the final product.
You can use string too, so you would just go around right where it was in the bottom just to hold everything in place. Wrap it around and tie it. This is twine I'm using. I'm just going to do a double knot. Enough that I can undo it later, but that holds everything in place. And I'm going to keep them in the full shade. And I put them in peat moss. Don't recommend doing that for peaches, but it's all the only thing I had. And you can see healthy green, and it's budding on the bottom. I might break a few so it can, at least here, so we can encourage it to go the energy to the top. Like that. Now, time for the apples.
So now it's time to graft the apple trees. I have some apple Fuji seedlings I'm growing. I'll be using as rootstocks. Some of them have multiple shoots, so I'll graft each one of the shoots. So I have a Franken-granite tree. Hopefully it'll work out pretty well and they'll cross-pollinate each other. So come along and see how I graft the apple trees. So these are the apple Fuji seedlings. So this here is a Fuji I grafted. The rest of it growing up here, as you can see, two main trunks forming, is a crab apple. You can tell it's a crab apple because the fruiting spurs it forms. You'll observe here. They're small in nature, but they will help with cross-pollination. Does suffer some fungal issues at times, so it's best to graft. And here are the grafts I ordered, the apple grafts. So I'll have a plethora of varieties.
This one also here was a Fuji I grafted. You can see the graft here. I only know because I left that thing in it. It doesn't have a label faded, but I know it was a marker that I grafted it, and it's a Fuji that I grafted right down here. So I'll try grafting this one. This is how the original apple looks like. Has nice crisp color. No disease issue really. But it must be grafted. So I'll leave these small shoots. I might clear them up, keep one. But the first one I'm going to do is the Brantley's seedling apple. This is a good cooking British variety of apple. It tastes really good. It's good for cooking, so I'm going to be using this. And you can't get this in the US. I don't know where I'm at. You can't get it, probably because it doesn't store well. But it's a very good variety, English variety, that I'm going to be grafting on first.
So first thing, I'm going to see where it measures off to be equal width. Right about there, I might cut back. So, cut around here. I might root these actually. I may use them as rootstock. The end part, that's been already dried out. I'm going to cut it so it can reheal and graft. Again, same principle. Width of the blade, more or less. Less actually than more, because if it's too wide, it won't hold the scion in place. And you don't want to saw it, you just want to cut it through once. So width of the blade, so right around here. And I'm going to cut it down as this wedge. and it's pretty healthy. I'm going to do it again, and likewise to the other side. See where I had it, and cut through. It's not a sharp wedge, want it a little bit sharper. That's a little bit sharp wedge, not so much here. See that end part? I'll get the clippers and cut that. Although there's a section exposed here, I want to get the blade and just cut it through. It's where the node was, which isn't good, but it is necessary to have it at least smooth as possible, like that, and have good contact. Make sure the cambium layers are touching, no air is going through. Make sure it's well sealed like that. I'm going to wrap it with plastic and do the original thing like I did with the peach. Tie it off to preserve the humidity and keep the scion hydrated so no water evaporation occurs with the scion, but that this remains airtight and sealed and dry. I'm going to do the rest for the others. So this is the grafts I just finished. So this is a few days later, and I'm just checking up. You can see the humidity is still captured inside. You can focus in on it. Well, just trust me when I say the humidity is still trapped inside, so it's keeping it humid and alive, so it's retaining moisture, but this union point is dried. This is a multi-grafted one. So this right here is a King Solomon right here. This one is the cinnamon spice, which is the middle one right here. And this one is the crimson gold. This one is the crimson gold. And then what do I have here? This one is the royal gala. And these scraggly ones might be other grafts later on. I'll just cut them and root them and have another funky multi-graft bush looking apple tree. Then here I had originally grafted on this crab seedling, which is probably 3 years old. I grafted here is a Fuji. I did the graft union right about, let me see if I can zoom in. Right there. Tuck. This whole shoot grew out. So this is a seedling. I did graft some others. So this one in the middle is the Liberty apple tree. That one here is the Enterprise. Liberty's in the middle. I have Fuji. Then this one here is the crisp pink apple. So crisp pink apple. I should probably prune off these other branches so it can force growth, but I'm going to keep it on in case it fails. I have more scions in the refrigerator, so I'll just regraft it if it doesn't take. This one here is the Granny Smith. I don't know if any of these apples will grow. This all started because from my experiences, I love seeing apple trees, so it's a bit of a nostalgia for me. This one here is another one. I'm using this as a nursing branch so it doesn't, this whole scion doesn't fail. This one is the Belle de Biscop. So it's kind of nice walking by in the winter and seeing it with tons of fruit on it. I believe that's the one they do in Germany a lot and in the Netherlands for canning and preserving. I know it lasts a long time in storage. I always see people using this one variety. It has a load of small apples, but it's kind of for aesthetics for me at least. It was raining, so I brought in my English lavender undercover, and it smells absolutely amazing. And this is a French one. And this one I grew from cuttings, actually. Random tip. And over here, I know my patio's dirty. I will clean it after I'm done grafting. And with these, this is the Gala,
My first apple tree I got was a Gala. Sad story behind it that I'm not going to mention on here, but it was a really heartbreak moment for me because it was my first apple tree I got. So this is me being restored, and I grafted the Gala here. This one here is another Fuji that I grafted right down here. Here I grafted it, and the Fuji grew out. Then this one here is, let's check the label, the Bramley and the Fuji. So this one here is the Bramley apple tree. This is a British cooking variety they use a lot of. We don't get a lot of them here, or I never see them at the supermarket. So that's why I grafted it, so I can always have it here. At least another off-season variety. This one is the Gravenstein here that I grafted. Once it takes, then I'll remove these, probably try rooting these here, and then having more plants, and then training this one up, and I'll use a wire or whatnot. Stake to straighten it out. And then this one is the Bramley seedling apple when I get it. And then this squaggly growth, this stuff I'll probably cut and put in rooting hormone, try to root again. So I have more apple seedlings at rootstock, because it might be a good tasting apple that I grew from seedling. It was Fuji seedling. It could be a good cross pollinator. I don't know to remove it or not, but I'll definitely try preserving it. So that is the apple trees I grafted. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video and was informative to you and inspires you to do your own grafting projects. Leave a like and subscribe, share with your friends and family, and I'll see you guys in the next video. That, or you'll see me in the next video. Peace.